Peterson Syndrome Cured, a Master of Mindness discussion of mental fitness, the most important of all topics. Well, arguably. We can try to wake people up with the hammer of truth as long as we want. But if people lack mental fitness, they will only become angry, paranoid, or arrogant. Somehow, we must find a way to persuade people to invest a little time into improving their mental fitness. I'll give you an example of how to do that with a brief discussion of Jordan Peterson. Who is Jordan Peterson? I suppose most of my listeners know him as a psychology practitioner and an internet celebrity who wears very, very nice suits. What is psychology? Allow me to read a few paragraphs written by your favorite know-it-all, me. One moment as I attempt to share a page from my book, the Encyclopedia Comedia. This is the chapter, the Book of Mental Fitness. And let's have a read about psychology, the idiocy of psychology. Psychologists are shallow anti-revolutionaries. That's putting the matter concisely. They focus on personal and domestic stressors, not on the causes of those stressors, still less on the causes of those causes. If parents, grandparents, and earlier generations were traumatized, their traumas reverberate through future generations. If psychopathic bankers and politicians destroy economies, they cause depression and rage. But our dear psychologists will not cure those successful psychopaths. They are not even patients. The economic decisions made by bankers and intelligence agencies on behalf of the world cabal have enormous consequences for billions of people. But our dear psychologists always focus on downstream issues such as bullying, gambling, alcoholism, and spousal abuse. This method of operation ensures that they will always have patients, unless their patients commit suicide. Not one word in psychology literature addresses the need for preventative mental health protocols. This also ensures that psychologists will always have patients. And yes, of course, the word psychology should be spelled psychology in order to emphasize that it is not for healing, but for sickening, or at least for keeping people just healthy enough to continue supporting their sick world. Yeah, I don't mince words, do I? No. Jordan, Dr. Jordan, speaks very superficially about environmental factors that impact us. Factors such as economic hardship, sickness, and relationship hell. But he does not explain that economic hardship is the intended product of an insane or evil economic system that is designed to impoverish us and create stress. Nor does he explain that sickness is the intended product of an insane or evil food and medical system. Nor does he explain that relationship hell is the product of many factors, including one, banking and government policies that create economic stress, a culture, two, a culture that creates uh, thousands of unique interests and opinions so that harmony becomes nearly impossible. And three, relationship hell is the product of a culture that creates love scarcity by turning children and adults into numbers and busy slaves, which makes everyone in a relationship become possessive because they fear losing what is very scarce. Jordan merely looks at the problems and says, "That's life. Deal with it, face it, and stop running away from it." No, we can't tackle those problems, and we can't find another way to live, run away far enough to a better place. Not possible in Jordan's world, in Jordan's mind. Of course, by running away from it, he meant mentally ignoring it. I'm meaning, just leave it. Let's quit this farm and do some gardening somewhere, this human farm. Well, Jordan is dishonest because life can be different, and we have a duty to create the culture that will not generate stress, sickness, conflict, and hell. Another flaw in Peterson's view of mental health is that he offers no preventative protocols or exercises, as I like to call them. As a result, he teaches us to passively wait for the suffering he believes is universal and inevitable. And when it arrives, we must face it, not run away from it, accept our responsibility, and somehow overcome it. That, however, is a recipe for failure. And he should know this. He failed not long ago. I will read briefly what AI shared with me regarding Jordan's unfortunate struggle and suffering. In 2019, 2020, a health crisis stemmed from physical dependence on benzo. You guessed. You can try to read it. Wait. Specifically, clonazepam. And if you can't pronounce it, don't swallow it. It was prescribed for severe anxiety following his wife's cancer diagnosis. That was too much for him. Broke the man. He also had an autoimmune reaction to food. Well, how strange is that? We're becoming allergic to food. Something to investigate. Or, well, another day. He developed serious neurological dysfunction. Yada, yada, yada. Well, this could have been prevented, Dr. Jordan, if you had taken some preventative exercises, mental exercises, about which more in a moment. Um, well, he has since recovered somewhat. Unfortunately, Peterson did not take responsibility for his failure, his collapse, did not question his psychological belief system, and did not improve his belief system. So I took that responsibility upon myself and created the hexagon. That's hexagon with a silent E at the end, giving us hex and gone. Goodbye, hex. I hope everyone knows what a hex is. A spell. We are somewhat spellbound. It includes a 9-point formula for creating a better world, 2 sets of mental fitness protocols that function as preventative and preemptive exercises for creating sufficient mental fitness to survive any tragedy with minimal stress and suffering, and 1 complete work of art designed to make thinking fun and healthy. The work of art presently behind me as my background is not the one um, I referred to. This is a part of a picture by my mother, dear mother. Um, I should also mention perhaps that, um, did he lose his wife? A cancer diagnosis? No, we didn't lose his wife. There was a cancer diagnosis. Well, I've also had some comparable difficulties. I've struggled with, in the past especially, with an autoimmune disease, quite debilitating at one time. At the same time, I was in a relationship marital hell and struggling economically. So I was probably dealing with more than Jordan Peterson ever did. And yet I didn't break. Why not? Because I practiced mental exercises in my 20s. So when hell came in my 30s, I managed and eventually escaped. Um, let's review the Masters of Mind protocols for mental fitness. One moment, please. There they are, the Masters of Mind, part of my hexagon system. I've read some of these before, so I don't really wish to repeat them. I will go instead and read the bottom two, give you a sense of what might work, what worked for me, or something very similar to this. For optimal mental strength, practice imagining that everything you believe is wrong until imagining this stops being stressful. For optimal mental health, practice imagining a world completely unlike the one you inhabit until imagining this stops being stressful. Yeah, imagine a world in which you have no job, in which the economy collapses, in which you must care for yourself. Grocery stores are empty. Try that. It's something to prepare for just in case, at least. Um, I think these 9 protocols and the rest of my hexagon system would be very useful now more than ever, as our economies grind us into poverty and promise hunger and homelessness, as disease rates continue to worsen, and as the news, entertainment, and social media grow increasingly unpleasant. If we do not prepare for such stresses for the future, we risk chronic worry, anger, depression, and all the evil and tragic consequences that follow from these negative emotions. I genuinely hope my work will help some people. I think there are a lot of people who could benefit and need some system that works better than Jordan Peterson's system and all the various forms of psychology and therapy, psychotherapy, psychoanalysis, etc. I don't have any faith in them. I think they're a load of trash. Well, let's finish. If I could just share my contact. Where are you? Oh, my contact. It is not far away. There it is. Prophet of Fiction at proton.me.